The remaining 7 Dominion ships regrouped quickly. They formed a tight circle, backs to each other, weapons pointed outward. This was a standard defensive formation, one that had worked against Earth ships many times before. It meant nothing to the Phantom. The massive ship simply vanished. "Where did it go?" gasped Ray, staring at the empty space where the Phantom had been seconds ago. Morgan leaned forward in her chair. It can't have jumped. There was no jump signature. The tactical display showed only the Dominion ships now, their energy signatures pulsing with what Morgan imagined must be confusion and fear. "Captain," called Taylor from the sensor station, "I'm picking up strange energy readings everywhere, like ripples in space." Suddenly, the Phantom reappeared, directly in the center of the Dominion's defensive circle, inside their formation. "That's impossible," breathed Morgan. No ship could move like that without using jump technology, which needed time to charge and couldn't be used for short-distance travel. The Phantom spun slowly in place, like a deadly dancer. Blue-white beams fired from all sides at once, striking each Dominion ship simultaneously. Their shields flared bright orange, then failed completely. "All Dominion vessels have lost shields," reported Taylor, his voice filled with wonder. "Whatever weapon the Phantom is using, it bypasses standard shield technology somehow." The Dominion ships broke formation, scattering in all directions. They fired desperately at the Phantom, but their weapons seemed to bend around the huge ship, not even touching its hull. 3 more Dominion vessels exploded in quick succession. Now only 4 remained of the original 12. Morgan's communication console lit up again. "Captain Morgan," came Captain Thomas's voice. "Your ship has taken significant damage. We're sending a shuttle to evacuate your wounded." "Understood, Captain Thomas," she replied. "But my crew and I can still fight." "I have no doubt of that," Thomas chuckled. "But there won't be much left to fight soon. Might as well save your strength for the after-party." Even as they spoke, a small craft detached from the Phantom and headed toward the Valor. It moved with the same impossible speed as its mothership, covering the distance in seconds rather than minutes. "Captain," said Ray, checking sensors, "that shuttle, it doesn't register on standard scans, like it's partly there and partly not." Morgan nodded. "Let them dock. We have wounded who need care." As the shuttle connected with the Valor's emergency docking port, Morgan turned to Ray. "You have the bridge, Lieutenant. I'm going to meet our guests." The docking area was crowded with injured crew members. Medical staff worked frantically to stabilize the worst cases. When the airlock door opened, Morgan expected to see medical personnel from the Phantom. Instead, a tall woman in a plain black uniform stepped through. She wore no rank insignia, no patches, nothing to identify her. Behind her came 6 others dressed the same way, carrying advanced medical equipment. "Captain Morgan," the woman said with a nod. "I'm Chief Medical Officer Wilson from the Phantom. We'll take your critical cases first." Morgan observed as Wilson's team moved among the injured with quiet efficiency. Their medical devices were unlike anything she had seen before. Small, sleek tools that seemed to heal injuries in seconds rather than hours. "Your technology," Morgan said quietly to Wilson. "It's not standard Earth medical equipment." Wilson's expression remained neutral. "No, it's not. Please come with me back to the shuttle. Captain Thomas has requested your presence on the Phantom." Morgan hesitated. "My ship." "We'll be fine," Wilson assured her. "We have engineers coming aboard to help with repairs. Lieutenant Ray can manage for a few hours." Morgan followed Wilson to the shuttle. Inside, it was larger than it had appeared from the outside, with comfortable seating for at least 20 people. The walls seemed to shimmer slightly, as if not entirely solid. As they took off, Morgan looked out a viewport. Outside, the battle continued. The Phantom was systematically destroying the remaining Dominion ships. Only 2 were left now, and they were attempting to flee. Captain Thomas led Morgan to a small room off the bridge. It was simple but comfortable, with a table and chairs that seemed to grow from the floor itself. The walls had the same shifting quality Morgan had noticed throughout the ship. "Please, sit," said Thomas, gesturing to a chair. As Morgan sat, a cup of steaming coffee appeared on the table before her. "How did you?" she began. Thomas smiled. "Molecular reconstruction, one of many technologies that make the Phantom special." Morgan took a sip of the coffee. It was perfect. Exactly how she liked it. "Captain," she said, setting down the cup, "what is this ship? Where did it come from? Why all the secrecy?" Thomas leaned back in his chair. "Which question would you like me to answer first?" "Let's start with the most basic one. Is this really an Earth ship?" "Yes and no," Thomas replied. "It was built by humans, using human designs as a starting point. But the technology," he gestured around them, "that came from somewhere else." "Aliens?" Morgan's eyes widened. "But we've only encountered the Dominion." Thomas shook his head. "That's what most people believe. What most are allowed to believe. But 30 years ago, before the Dominion arrived, Earth made first contact with another species. We called them the Visitors. What happened to them? Why didn't we hear about this? The meeting was kept secret by agreement of all Earth governments. The Visitors didn't want open contact. They were cautious. They'd seen what happened to other civilizations that revealed themselves too openly to younger species." Morgan frowned. "So these Visitors just gave us their technology?" "Not exactly," Thomas said. "They crashed on Earth, a single scout ship with a crew of 3. They were dying. We tried to help them, but their biology was too different. Before the last one died, they gave us access to their ship's database as a thank you for our efforts." Thomas stood and walked to the wall. It shimmered at his touch, becoming a window that looked out into space. The stars seemed closer, brighter somehow. The Visitors were explorers, not warriors, but their technology was centuries beyond ours. The database contained scientific knowledge that would have taken us thousands of years to discover on our own. "And we used it to build a warship," Morgan said, a note of disappointment in her voice. Thomas turned to her. "We used it to protect ourselves. 5 years after the Visitors, the Dominion arrived. They weren't interested in peaceful contact. They wanted resources, territory, slaves. So the world governments built the Phantom in secret." "Yes," Thomas nodded, "using a small portion of what we learned. Even now, we've only scratched the surface of the Visitors' knowledge. This ship has been operational for 7 years, appearing only when absolutely necessary. To maintain the myth," Morgan said, understanding now. "To make the Dominion fear something they couldn't explain." "Exactly. Fear is a powerful weapon. The Phantom appears, destroys enemy ships with ease, then vanishes. The stories spread. The fear grows." Morgan thought about this. "But why keep it secret from your own people? From people like me?" Thomas sighed deeply. "Politics. Fear. Some leaders worried that if knowledge of the Visitors and their technology became public, it would cause panic or religious upheaval. Others wanted to keep the technology for themselves, for their nations alone. That's why there are no markings on your uniforms," Morgan realized. "No country flags. No ranks. We're the first truly international crew. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers from every nation on Earth. We abandoned our old identities to serve on this ship." Morgan shook her head in disbelief. "This is a lot to take in." A soft chime sounded, and a section of the wall shimmered. Admiral James's face appeared, as if on a screen. "Captain Morgan," he said with a smile. "I see Thomas has been filling you in." "Admiral." Morgan nodded. "You knew about this all along." "I'm one of 12 people with full knowledge of the Phantom Project, each representing different regions of Earth." Admiral James stood at the front of the dimly lit room. The faces of 20 ship captains looked back at him, tired and worn from years of losing battles. The war against the Dominion had gone on for 5 years now. Humans were losing. "Thank you all for coming," said Admiral James. His voice was deep and rough from too many sleepless nights. I know many of you traveled far to be here." He touched a button on his wrist device. A large screen lit up behind him, showing star maps and battle reports. "The Dominion pushed us back in 3 more systems this month," he said. "We lost 8 ships and over 2,000 good men and women." A heavy silence filled the room. These were not new numbers. They all knew what losing felt like by now. "But today we talk about something different," said the Admiral. "Something that might give us hope. Lieutenant Alex, please come forward." A young officer stepped up to the front. Lieutenant Alex was shorter than most, with bright eyes that looked too young for war. But those eyes had seen plenty. Alex carried a data tablet and wore the blue markings of the Intelligence Division. "Sir," Alex nodded to the Admiral, then turned to face the captains. "I'm here to brief you on what some call the Phantom." Captain Reed, a battle-hardened veteran, snorted loudly. "Not this ghost story again." Several others murmured in agreement. Alex waited for them to quiet down. "With respect, Captain Reed, I understand your doubt. But I've been gathering reports for 3 years now. Something is out there. Something on our side." Alex touched the screen controls. Images appeared showing the aftermath of battles. Destroyed Dominion ships floating in space. In at least 7 battles where our forces were outnumbered and defeat seemed certain, something happened. A ship appeared, a ship unlike any in our fleet. "Propaganda," said another captain. "Stories to keep up morale." "I thought so too," Alex replied, "until I compiled the data myself." New images appeared, blurry photos taken from ship cameras. A dark shape, much larger than standard Earth vessels. Strange lights along its hull. "This is from the Battle of Proxima. Our forces were down to 2 ships against 9 Dominion cruisers. Then this appeared. 3 Dominion ships were destroyed in minutes. The rest retreated. The unknown ship vanished before clear images could be taken." Admiral James stepped forward again. "I know how this sounds, but there's more." He nodded to Alex, who brought up a new screen showing communication logs. "These are Dominion transmissions we intercepted and translated," Alex explained. "Their commanders refer to a human ghost vessel that appears and disappears. They have standing orders to report any sightings immediately." Captain Morgan, a woman with short gray hair and a face scarred from a bridge explosion, leaned forward. "Why would our own command keep such a weapon secret from its captains?" Admiral James sighed. "That's what we're trying to find out. If this ship exists, it's not under standard fleet command. But something is out there, helping us when all seems lost." "If it exists, why doesn't it help more often?" asked Reed. "We're losing this war, 1 system at a time." "That's the question, isn't it?" said James. "My theory: limited resources, or limited operational capacity. Whatever it is, it can only be in so many places." Lieutenant Alex brought up one more image, this one clearer than the others. A massive ship, at least twice the size of their largest dreadnought. Its hull was dark with strange patterns that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. This was taken by a civilian transport 4 months ago near Saturn's rings. The ship disappeared moments later. No warp signature, no jump point. The room went quiet as the captains studied the image. Captain Morgan stood on the bridge of her ship, the EDF Valor. Through the main viewport, she could see New Haven Colony, a beautiful blue-green planet with 3 small moons. Millions of people lived there. Good people. Farmers, engineers, families trying to build a life far from Earth. "Status report," she said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. Lieutenant Ray looked up from his screen. "Colony defense systems at full power. The other 2 ships are in position. The Swift is covering the northern approach, and the Guardian is stationed by the jump point." Morgan nodded. 3 ships. That was all Earth could spare to defend an entire colony world. Her ship, the Valor, was the newest of the 3, but even it was 10 years old. The other 2 were practically antiques. "Any word from command?" she asked. "Nothing new, Captain. Just the alert that Dominion forces are incoming. Estimated arrival in 30 minutes." Morgan walked to the tactical display. The colony glowed blue at the center. Her 3 ships were green dots forming a triangle around it. Soon, there would be red dots. Many red dots. "Open a channel to the colony," she ordered. The face of Governor Davis appeared on the screen. He was a thin man with kind eyes, now filled with worry. "Captain Morgan," he said, "is it true? Are they coming?" "Yes, Governor. You need to activate all shelters. Get your people underground. We've already started." "But Captain, 3 ships. That's all they sent." Morgan kept her face neutral. "We'll hold them off, Governor. You have my word." When the screen went dark, Lieutenant Ray spoke quietly. "Will we, Captain? Hold them off." "We'll do our duty, Lieutenant," she answered. She touched the small device on her wrist, the one containing the special signal Admiral James had given her. "Just in case," he had said. But she wasn't ready to use it yet. Ghost ships and myths wouldn't save them. Only courage and skill would. "All hands to battle stations," she ordered. "This won't be easy." The alarm sounded 22 minutes later. Jump signatures detected. Called out Ensign Taylor from the sensor station. Multiple hostiles incoming. The space near the 3rd moon twisted and warped. A tear in reality formed, glowing angry red around the edges, and through it came the enemy. "Count?" asked Morgan, her hands gripping the command chair tightly. 4, 7, 9, 12 ships, Captain," reported Taylor, his voice rising with each number. 12 Dominion warships. 4 heavy cruisers, 8 destroyers. Morgan felt her heart sink. 12 against 3. And their ships were bigger, newer, stronger. "Open channel to all Earth ships," she ordered. When the light showed green, she spoke clearly. "This is Captain Morgan. We are outnumbered but not outmatched. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. All ships, battle formation Delta. Protect the colony at all costs." The 3 Earth ships moved into position, engines burning bright against the darkness of space. The Dominion fleet approached slowly, confidently. They knew they had the advantage. Their ships were dark and angular, covered in sharp edges that seemed designed to cut through space itself. Red lights pulsed along their hulls like evil heartbeats. "They're hailing us," said Lieutenant Ray. "Put them through," Morgan replied. But calling it just a ship felt wrong. It was massive, easily twice the size of the largest vessel Morgan had ever seen. Its hull was dark, almost black, with strange patterns that seemed to swallow light. It moved with impossible grace for something so large, sliding fully into normal space in seconds. "Is it one of ours?" asked Ray, his voice filled with awe. Morgan stared at the tactical display. The ship carried no identification beacon. No standard Earth markings were visible. Yet something about its design, beneath the strange technology, felt human. "Dominion fleet is reacting," reported Taylor. "They're forming a defensive line. All 12 ships." On the screen, the Dominion vessels moved with sudden urgency, arranging themselves to face the newcomer. Their previous prey, the Valor, seemingly forgotten. The mystery ship hung in space for a long moment, silent and still. Then a voice came through on all communication channels, heard by the Valor, the colony, and surely the Dominion ships as well. "Attention Dominion forces. This is Captain Thomas of the Earth vessel Phantom. You are in violation of protected space. You will power down your weapons and withdraw immediately, or you will be destroyed." The voice was calm, matter of fact, as if the speaker was commenting on the weather rather than challenging 12 warships. Morgan felt her jaw drop. The Phantom. The ghost ship from the briefing. It was real. "Captain," said Ray, his voice shaking, "the Dominion ships are powering up weapons, all of them. They're targeting the Phantom." On the second screen, Governor Davis looked equally shocked. "Captain Morgan, is that Yes, she whispered. The myth. The legend. It's real. The largest Dominion ship moved forward from their line. Its communication signal broadcast widely. Unknown vessel, came the voice of Commander Dex. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender or be destroyed. Captain Thomas's reply was simple. No. What happened next would be told and retold across human space for years to come. The Phantom moved, faster than any ship its size should be able to move. Beams of strange blue-white energy lanced out from points along its hull, not from any visible weapon mounts. 3 Dominion ships exploded instantly, their shields seemingly useless against whatever the Phantom fired at them. My God, breathed Taylor. What kind of weapons are those? The Dominion ships scattered, firing frantically at the Phantom. Their weapons, powerful enough to cripple normal Earth ships, splashed harmlessly against some kind of invisible barrier around the massive vessel. The Phantom moved among them like a shark among minnows, firing those strange beams with perfect precision. 2 more Dominion ships erupted into fireballs. Morgan's communication console lit up. A private channel. Captain Morgan. Came Captain Thomas's voice. Admiral James sends his regards. Sorry, we're a bit early. Traffic was light. Morgan found herself laughing despite everything. Captain Thomas, you have no idea how glad we are to see you. The feeling is mutual. We've been watching the Dominion too long. Hold position. We'll clean this up and then talk. Phantom out. Morgan turned to her crew, who were all watching the battle with expressions of disbelief and growing hope. Well, she said, it seems the ghost is real after all. The screen filled with the face of a Dominion commander. Their species looked almost human, but with gray skin and eyes that were entirely black. No whites, no visible pupils. Just darkness. Earth vessels, the commander said, his voice oddly smooth. I am Commander Dex of the Dominion fleet. Your position is hopeless. Surrender now, and we will allow your crews to evacuate before we claim this world. Morgan stared back at him. This is a civilian colony protected under the Treaty of Proxima. Your presence here is an act of war. Dex smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp to be friendly. The treaty is over. Surrender or be destroyed. We decline your generous offer, Morgan said, and cut the transmission. They're powering weapons, reported Taylor. All ships, evasive maneuvers, ordered Morgan. Guardian, take the left flank. Swift, the right. Valor will draw their center. Fire at will. The battle began. The Earth ships moved with skill, darting between the larger Dominion vessels, firing precisely at weak points. But it was like children throwing rocks at giants. The Dominion ships absorbed most hits with their superior shields. 20 minutes in, the Swift took a direct hit to its engine core. Swift is dead in space, Captain, reported Ray. They're evacuating to escape pods. Guardian, cover those pods, Morgan ordered. We'll keep the cruisers busy. The Valor shook as enemy fire connected with their shields. Shields at 60%, called Taylor. We can't take much more of this. Morgan made a decision. She opened a private channel to Earth Command. This is Captain Morgan of the Valor. New Haven Colony is under attack by superior forces. We are outmatched 12-3. Request immediate reinforcements. The reply came quickly, but it wasn't what she hoped for. Captain Morgan, this is Admiral James. Hold position. Help is coming. Repeat, hold position for 6 hours. Morgan stared at the screen in disbelief. 6 hours? Admiral, we won't last 60 minutes. Trust me, Beth, said James, using her first name, which he never did in official communications. 6 hours, I promise. The transmission ended. Another hit rocked the ship. Shields at 40%, reported Taylor. The Guardian is taking heavy fire now, too. Morgan looked at the tactical display. The Dominion ships moved like wolves circling wounded prey. The Guardian was limping, its port side blackened from weapons fire. The Swift was completely dark now, its escape pods racing toward the colony. 6 hours. Impossible. Unless. Morgan looked down at the device on her wrist. The special signal. The call for a ghost. Captain. Ray was looking at her, waiting for orders. Morgan took a deep breath. New plan. We need to last 6 hours. Whatever it takes. She pressed the button on the device. A strange code pulsed out into space, on frequencies no normal ship would monitor. What was that, Captain? Asked Ray. Morgan looked out at the stars beyond the battle. A prayer, Lieutenant. A prayer to a ghost. 2 hours had passed since Captain Morgan sent the special signal. The battle had gone from bad to worse. The Guardian was gone now, destroyed in a flash of light and fire 30 minutes ago. Its crew had managed to launch most escape pods, but Morgan knew many good people had died. The Valor fought on alone, running on emergency power and determination. Shields at 12%, reported Taylor, his young face streaked with sweat and blood from a cut on his forehead. Engine 2 is offline. Weapons running at half power. Morgan nodded, too tired to speak. Her ship limped in a wide circle around the colony, firing when possible, dodging when necessary. The Dominion ships seemed to be playing with them now, taking their time, enjoying the hunt. Why don't they just finish us? Asked Ray, his voice barely above a whisper. Because they're cruel, Morgan answered. They want us to suffer, to beg. The main screen showed the colony below. Lights still burned in the cities. Millions of people watched and waited for their fate. Morgan had failed them. Captain, called out Ensign Parker from communications, we're getting a signal from the colony. Governor Davis wants to speak with you. Morgan sighed. Put him through. The governor's face appeared, grim but composed. Captain Morgan, our sensors show your situation. I want to thank you and your crew for your bravery. Don't thank me, Governor. We failed. The Dominion will reach the colony within the hour. Davis nodded slowly. I know. That's why I've made a decision. We're going to surrender. Governor, no. The Dominion doesn't take prisoners. We know what they do, he interrupted. But maybe they'll spare the children if we don't resist. It's our only hope now. Morgan felt a cold rage building inside her. This was wrong. All wrong. Humans shouldn't have to beg for mercy from anyone. Governor, please. Admiral James told me to hold for 6 hours. We have 4 more to go. Help might still come. Davis gave a sad smile. What help, Captain? The nearest Earth fleet is 3 days away. We both know that. I appreciate your courage, but it's time to face reality. Before Morgan could argue more, Lieutenant Ray called out, Captain. Something's happening. Morgan turned to see the tactical display. A strange energy reading had appeared at the edge of the system. What is that? She demanded. Unknown, Captain, said Taylor, working his sensor controls frantically. It's putting out energy readings unlike anything I've ever seen. And it's growing. On the main screen, space itself seemed to bend and twist. A dark patch formed against the stars, like a hole in reality. It pulsed once, twice. Dominion ships are changing course, reported Ray. They're moving toward the anomaly. The governor was still on the second screen, his eyes wide. What's happening, Captain? I don't know, Morgan answered honestly. But deep inside, a tiny spark of hope flared to life. The dark patch in space expanded suddenly, growing to the size of a small moon. And from within it emerged a ship. It doesn't look like one of ours, said Morgan finally. The design is different. Exactly, said Alex. Yet it only targets Dominion ships, never ours. Admiral James cleared his throat. I've brought you all here because I'm authorizing a new communication protocol. If any of you encounter this vessel or find yourselves in a no-win scenario, broadcast this signal. He sent a data packet to their tablets. The captains looked down at the strange code sequence. And then what? Asked Reed. And then we see if the myth is real, replied James. Maybe it will show up. Maybe not. But I'm tired of losing good people without trying everything possible. As the meeting ended, the captains filed out, talking in low voices. Some laughed off the briefing as desperation. Others looked thoughtful. Captain Morgan stayed behind. When the room emptied, she approached the admiral. "James," she said quietly, "level with me. Do you really believe in this ghost ship?" Admiral James looked at his old friend. They had served together for 20 years. 3 years ago. "No, but the evidence keeps piling up, Beth. And we need something. Anything." She nodded slowly. "New Haven Colony is under my protection next week. Dominion ships have been spotted heading that way. I know. If things go bad, use the signal," James said. "What's there to lose?" Morgan left, and James stood alone in the briefing room, staring at the image of the mysterious ship. Far from Earth, hidden in the asteroid belt of a system abandoned early in the war, a massive underground facility hummed with activity. Engineers in unmarked uniforms moved around a cavernous dock where a huge shape sat in shadow. 2 figures stood on an observation platform, looking down at the activity. "They're talking about us again," said one, an older man with white hair. "Admiral James held a briefing today." The second figure, tall and thin, nodded. "Good. The legend grows." "Is the ship ready?" asked the first. "After the repairs from the last battle." "Yes. Power systems at 98%. Cloak functioning perfectly." "And the crew?" "Tired, but ready." A light flashed on the console between them. "New distress pattern," said the younger man. "Matching our protocol." "Where?" "New Haven Colony. Dominion battle group incoming. Estimated arrival in 6 hours." The white-haired man sighed. "Alert Captain Thomas. Tell him to prep for jump." Below them, lights began to glow along the hull of the massive ship. For a moment, its full shape became visible. Angular, predatory, unlike any human vessel officially acknowledged to exist. The Phantom was awakening again. "Why am I being told this now?" Morgan asked. "Why bring me into the secret?" Thomas and James exchanged a glance. "Because," Thomas said finally, "the Phantom is no longer our only ship of this type." "What?" Morgan sat up straighter. "The battle you just witnessed wasn't just about saving New Haven Colony," James explained. "It was a coming-out party." Thomas nodded. "For the past 3 years, we've been building a fleet. 5 ships with visitor technology, each with different specializations. The Phantom is the flagship. The other 4 will be revealed in the coming weeks," added James. "We're taking the fight to the Dominion, and we need experienced captains who can handle the truth and adapt to the new technology." Morgan stared at them both. "Are you offering me command of one of these ships?" Thomas smiled. "The Eclipse. Stealth and reconnaissance. It matches your style, according to your record. But my crew will have the choice to join you," James assured her. "Those who pass security clearance, of course." Morgan stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see her damaged ship, the Valor, with repair crews swarming over it. Beyond, New Haven Colony glowed peaceful and safe. For 5 years, humanity had been losing the war, retreating system by system. Now, everything would change. "There will be consequences," she said quietly, "when the Dominion realizes we have this technology." "Yes," Thomas agreed. "They'll be afraid. For the first time, they'll be the ones afraid." Morgan turned back to them. "When do I see this new ship, this Eclipse?" Thomas smiled. "Right now." He touched the wall again, and the view changed. A sleek black ship appeared, smaller than the Phantom, but with a similar shifting hull. It was beautiful and deadly. "Your new command, Captain Morgan, if you accept." Morgan studied the ship that would be hers, a ship that had been a myth until today, a ship that would help turn the tide of war. "I accept," she said firmly. Admiral James nodded with approval. "Then let's make it official. The myth is now reality, Captain. And soon, The whole galaxy will know it. As they left the room, Morgan took one last look at the Eclipse. Her ship, the next legend in a new fleet that would change everything. The war was about to enter a new phase. And this time, humanity wouldn't be the ones running. "They won't escape," said Wilson, noticing Morgan's gaze. "Nothing escapes the Phantom when Captain Thomas wants it stopped." The shuttle approached the massive ship, giving Morgan her first close look at it. The hull wasn't solid metal as she had assumed. Instead, it seemed to be made of overlapping plates that moved slightly, adjusting and readjusting constantly. Strange patterns of light flowed beneath the surface, like blood in veins. "What is this ship?" Morgan asked, unable to hide her awe. "What is it made of?" Wilson smiled slightly. "That's for Captain Thomas to explain." They docked with the Phantom through a bay that opened and closed like a living thing. Inside, the corridors were wide and well-lit, but with the same slightly shifting quality as the shuttle. Crew members moved purposefully about, all in the same black uniforms without rank or identification. Wilson led Morgan to what she assumed was the bridge. It was a large, circular room with workstations around the perimeter and a central command area raised on a platform. Standing there was a man of medium height with gray hair and calm eyes. "Captain Morgan," he said, stepping forward with an outstretched hand. "Captain Thomas, welcome to the Phantom." Morgan shook his hand. "Thank you for saving my ship and the colony. But I have so many questions." Thomas nodded. "I imagine you do, and I'll answer what I can." He gestured to a large display showing the battle outside. The final Dominion ship was trying to activate its jump drive to escape. "Watch," said Thomas softly. The Phantom fired one last time, but instead of the blue-white beams from before, this was a pulse of green energy that engulfed the Dominion ship. The enemy vessel didn't explode. Instead, it simply stopped. All lights went out. It drifted, dead in space. "What did you do to it?" asked Morgan. "Energy drain," explained Thomas. "Sometimes we need to capture rather than destroy. For intelligence purposes." He turned to face Morgan fully. "The battle is over. New Haven Colony is safe. Now, I believe I owe you some explanations about this ship that many thought was just a myth." Morgan looked around the bridge, at the technology that seemed decades beyond anything Earth officially possessed. "Yes," she said. "I think you do." Captain Jack Morgan stood on the bridge of the UES Resilient, watching the stars streak by the main view screen. The ship was humanity's pride, their first true deep space vessel, built for both exploration and diplomacy. After 50 years of slow expansion beyond their solar system, humans were finally ready to meet the Valan Confederacy as equals. "Status report," Jack said, his voice calm but firm. "All systems running at peak efficiency, Captain," replied First Officer Diane Wells from her station. "We'll reach Valan space in 3 days." Jack nodded, satisfied. The mission was simple: establish formal diplomatic relations with the Valan, a species that had been watching human development from afar, but had only recently agreed to official contact. The success of this mission would open new trade routes, technological exchanges, and alliances that Earth desperately needed. What Jack didn't know was that not everyone wanted this mission to succeed. The first sign of trouble came at 300 ship time. Jack was jerked from sleep by the wail of emergency sirens. He grabbed his uniform and was halfway to the bridge before the ship-wide announcement system activated. "All hands to emergency stations." Repeat, "All hands to emergency stations." This is not a drill. When Jack reached the bridge, chaos greeted him. Warning lights flashed across every console. The main lights flickered, plunging the bridge into darkness before the backup systems kicked in with a dull red glow. "Report," Jack demanded as he took his chair. Diane's face was grim in the emergency lighting. "We've got cascading system failures across the ship, Captain. Life support is down to 60% and falling. Main reactor is shutting down. Navigation is giving us incorrect readings." "How is this possible?" Jack asked. Everything was fine 4 hours ago. Before anyone could answer, Chief Engineer Lisa Reed's voice came through on the comm system. "Captain, you need to see this. Now." In the engine room, Lisa pointed to her workstation screen. Jack leaned in, squinting at what looked like microscopic machines. "What am I looking at, Chief?" "Nanobots, sir. Thousands of them. They're systematically destroying our systems from the inside out." Lisa wiped sweat from her forehead. The engine room was already getting hot as climate controls failed. They're attacking power conduits, navigation circuits, life support, everything. "Sabotage?" Jack asked, though he already knew the answer. Lisa nodded. "No doubt about it. These aren't random failures. These little bastards were programmed to bring us down." Security Officer Marcus Black appeared at Jack's side, his tablet showing surveillance footage. "Captain, I think I found how they got on board." He played a video showing a maintenance worker at Outpost 7, their last stop before heading to Valen space. The worker was accessing a maintenance panel near the main reactor. "Who is that?" Jack asked. "That's the problem, sir. He doesn't exist in our crew manifest or station records, and he's nowhere on the ship now." Jack felt a cold realization sweep over him. "Can we neutralize these nanobots?" Lisa shook her head. "Not with what we have on board. They're using technology I've never seen before. By the time we figure it out." She didn't need to finish her sentence. Back on the bridge, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. Oxygen levels were dropping throughout the ship. The main reactor was now operating at just 15% capacity. Navigation systems showed them drifting off course, heading into an unmapped region of space. "Communications, keep trying emergency channels," Jack ordered. "Someone must be in range." Communications Officer Alex Foster worked frantically at his station. "Sir, I'm picking up something, but it's not on any of our frequencies." He adjusted some settings. "It's encrypted, but our systems are managing a rough translation." Jack moved to the comm station as Alex put the transmission on speaker. The voice was distinctly non-human, with a clicking quality beneath the translation. "Confirmation that the human vessel has been neutralized. Their systems are failing as planned." A second voice replied, "Excellent. The Council will be pleased. These humans advance too quickly. Another century of isolation should keep them contained until we're ready to deal with them properly." The bridge fell silent as the transmission ended. Jack looked around at his crew, seeing the same realization dawn on all their faces. "They set us up," Diane said quietly. "This whole diplomatic mission was just to get us out here alone." Jack's jaw tightened. "Communications, what's our status? Can we send a warning to Earth?" Alex shook his head. "Long-range comms are completely down, sir. Even if we could send a message, it would take weeks to reach home." "And rescue?" Jack asked, already knowing the answer. "We're off all charted routes now," Diane replied. "Even if they send ships looking for us, they won't know where to search. We're on our own." Dr. James Reynolds, the ship's medical officer, stepped onto the bridge. "Captain, at the current rate of oxygen depletion, we have approximately 72 hours of breathable air. That's assuming we can keep the scrubbers running at all." Jack stood still for a long moment, feeling the weight of 120 lives on his shoulders. Then something shifted in his expression. "Chief Reed," he called over the comm. "You said these nanobots are technology you've never seen before, correct?" "Yes, sir. Far beyond anything we have." "Then they've made a critical mistake," Jack said. "They didn't just try to kill us. They handed us their technology in the process." He turned to address the entire bridge crew. "I want every scientist and engineer on this ship working on capturing and analyzing these nanobots. If they can break our systems, we can learn how they work." "Captain," Marcus protested, "we don't have time for a research project. We need emergency repairs." "We're going to do both, Mr. Black," Jack cut him off. "Lisa, focus your team on keeping life support and basic systems running. Science teams will work on the nanobots. Jack activated the ship-wide comm. Attention all crew of the UES Resilient. By now you know we've been attacked, sabotaged by those who invited us here under the guise of peace. They wanted to strand us here to die, to send a message that humans don't belong among the stars. He paused, letting his words sink in. But they made one critical error. They wanted to break our ship. Fine. We'll just have to build something better. From this moment, we are not just fighting for survival. We are going to take what they used against us and turn it into our salvation. And when we're done, we're going to show them exactly what humans do when backed into a corner. As he finished speaking, Jack noticed something out the viewport. Strange patterns of light in the space they were drifting into, radiation or energy unlike anything in their charts. Mr. Foster, record and analyze the phenomena, he ordered, pointing to the viewport. It might be nothing, but right now we need every advantage we can find. Jack looked around the bridge at his crew, their faces showing a mixture of fear and determination. We have 72 hours to defy death. Lisa Reed hadn't slept in 36 hours. Her hands were steady as she worked, but dark circles had formed under her eyes. The engine room of the UES Resilient had become a hive of frantic activity as crew members worked to keep the dying ship alive. "Chief, you need to see this," called Tom Wilson, her assistant engineer. He was hunched over a workbench, a captured nanobot trapped in a magnetic containment field. Lisa joined him, peering at the microscopic machine. "What am I looking at?" "It's not just destroying our systems," Tom explained, his voice rising with excitement despite their dire situation. "It's scanning them first, sending the data somewhere before it attacks." Lisa's tired mind suddenly sharpened. "They're not just trying to kill us. They're studying us." She tapped her comm badge. "Captain Morgan, we have something." On the bridge, Jack listened as Lisa explained her discovery. Oxygen levels had stabilized at 40% of normal, enough to survive, but everyone was feeling the effects. Moving was harder. Thinking was harder. "So they're gathering intelligence while they destroy us," Jack said. "Can we use that somehow?" "Maybe," Lisa replied. "The nanobots have to be communicating with each other and sending data outward. If we can crack their transmission method." "Do it," Jack ordered. And Lisa, the quantum computer in the science lab, was shielded against radiation. It might have survived the attack. Use it if you need to. As the communication ended, Jack turned to Science Officer Emma Wright. "What about the energy patterns outside the ship? Any progress?" Emma nodded, her movements slightly sluggish in the oxygen-thin air. "It's unlike anything we've encountered before, Captain. The radiation interacts with certain metals in our hull in ways that defy our understanding of physics. It's almost like..." "Like what?" Jack prompted when she hesitated. "Like it's alive," Emma finished. "Not sentient, but reactive, changing in response to our presence." Jack stared at the viewport where the strange lights pulsed outside. "Could we harness it somehow?" Emma blinked in surprise. "I don't know. Maybe? But that would require completely redesigning our power systems." "Start working on it," Jack said. "Right now, impossible ideas are all we've got." In the science lab, Lisa and Tom had commandeered the quantum computer. A dozen captured nanobots were suspended in containment fields around them as the computer ran analysis protocols. "This is insane," Tom muttered, staring at the results on the screen. "These things operate using quantum entanglement. They're communicating instantly across space. No delay, no signal that can be blocked." Lisa leaned closer to the screen. "That's technology we theorized but couldn't build yet. And look at how they manipulate energy at the subatomic level. They're not just machines. They're like tiny reality manipulators." The door slid open, and Marcus Black entered. "Please tell me you have good news." Lisa looked up, a strange light in her eyes despite her exhaustion. "Better than good. We've been asking the wrong question." We've been asking how to destroy these nanobots. But what we should be asking is, how do we make them work for us? Marcus frowned. What are you talking about? These machines are decades ahead of our technology, Lisa explained. But we can understand them. And if we can understand them, we can copy them, Tom finished, a slow smile spreading across his face. Captain Morgan had called an emergency meeting in the briefing room. Around the table sat his senior officers, all showing signs of fatigue, but all. Let me make sure I understand, Jack said, looking at Lisa. You think we can reprogram these nanobots? Not exactly, Lisa replied. They're too complex for that, but we can use them as templates to create our own version. The quantum computer has already mapped their basic structure. With some modifications, we could build nanobots that repair instead of destroy. And I've been analyzing that strange radiation, Emma added. It responds to electrical fields in a way that could potentially be harnessed for power. If we could develop a new kind of energy collector. How long would all this take? Jack asked. Lisa and Emma exchanged glances. Under normal circumstances. Years, Lisa admitted. But we don't have years. We have about 36 hours of oxygen left. So it's impossible, Marcus said flatly. Not impossible, Lisa countered. Just highly improbable. But we have one advantage. What's that? Diane asked. We're human, Lisa said simply. When have we ever let impossible stop us? Jack stood up, his decision made. We're not just making repairs anymore. We're rebuilding this ship from the inside out. I want every crew member with engineering or scientific knowledge working on this project. Captain, Dr. Reynolds protested. People are already exhausted from the oxygen deprivation. Pushing them harder could be dangerous. Being dead is also dangerous, Doctor, Jack replied grimly. But you're right. Set up a rotation. 4 hours on, 2 hours rest, and increase the oxygen levels in the work areas as much as possible. As the meeting broke up, Jack held back Lisa and Emma. He pulled a small object from his pocket, a smooth stone with swirling patterns. This was given to me by my grandfather, he said quietly. He flew the first manned mission to Mars. He told me that space will always find new ways to kill you, but humans will always find more creative ways to live. He placed the stone on the table between them. They gave us the knife they meant to kill us with, he said, examining the holographic model of the captured nanobots floating above the table. Let's use it to carve our way home. The next 24 hours aboard the Resilient became a blur of activity. The ship's corridors, normally neat and orderly, were now strewn with opened panels and exposed circuitry. Crew members passed tools back and forth, their conversations a mix of technical jargon and desperate brainstorming. In the engine room, Lisa had set up what she called a nanoforge, using the ship's 3D printing systems, modified with parts from the medical bay's molecular synthesizers. The quantum computer ran continuous simulations, testing and refining designs for their own nanobots. Tom had taken a different approach, stripping the propulsion system down to its most basic components and rebuilding it to interact with the strange radiation outside. His small team worked in environmental suits, making modifications to the ship's exterior hull. On the bridge, Emma coordinated the various teams, while Jack moved throughout the ship, offering encouragement and making quick decisions when different departments disagreed on priorities. By hour 30, the first batch of human-made nanobots was ready for testing. Lisa placed them on a damaged circuit board from one of the life support systems. Moment of truth, she said, activating the tiny machines. Everyone in the room held their breath as the nanobots went to work. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the microscopic machines began to move, surrounding the damaged areas of the circuit. Metal began to flow like water, components realigned, and before their eyes, the dead circuit board came back to life. Lisa looked up at Jack with exhausted triumph in her eyes. It works. For the first time in days, Jack Morgan This isn't a repair job anymore, Lisa announced to the gathered engineering team. We're completely rebuilding the Resilient from the inside out. 5 days had passed since the sabotage. The immediate danger of suffocation had passed. Their newly created nanobots had restored basic life support to full capacity. But Captain Morgan wanted more than just survival. In the main cargo bay, now converted into their central workshop, a holographic model of the ship floated in the air. Different sections glowed with different colors, showing progress on their transformation. The navigation and propulsion systems are our priority, Lisa continued. Tom's team has made significant breakthroughs with the radiation harvesting technology. Tom stepped forward, his face tired but excited. We're calling it void energy for now. It's like nothing we've seen before. The strange radiation outside the ship responds to electrical fields, almost like it's attracted to them. We've built collectors that can pull it in and convert it to usable power. How much power? Asked Jack, who was standing at the back of the room. Tom smiled. Based on our tests, about 5 times what our original engines could produce. And that's just the beginning. A murmur of excitement rippled through the gathered crew. For the first time, they weren't just fighting for survival, they were creating something revolutionary. In the communications lab, Alex Foster worked with a small team to implement Lisa's most ambitious idea. A new communication system based on the quantum entanglement principles they discovered in the alien nanobots. If this works, Alex explained to Jack during his inspection, we'll be able to communicate instantly across any distance. No delay, no signal that can be intercepted or blocked. Will it work? Jack asked, studying the complex equipment spread across the lab tables. In theory, yes. In practice, Alex shrugged. We're doing in days what might have taken Earth decades to develop, but the principles are sound. Jack nodded thoughtfully. Keep at it. If we can send a warning to Earth about the Valens' true intentions, we'll be saving lives, Alex finished. Not everyone embraced the rapid changes. In the security office, Marcus Black voiced his concerns to the captain. We're moving too fast, he argued. These technologies haven't been properly tested. The nanobots, this void energy, we don't fully understand them yet. We don't have the luxury of time for proper testing, Jack replied. Every day we stay here increases the chance that the Valen will send ships to confirm our destruction. And what happens if these new systems fail catastrophically? Marcus pressed. What if the nanobots decide to turn against us? What if this radiation we're harvesting has unforeseen effects? Jack placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Your caution is noted and appreciated, Marcus. But sometimes the greater risk is in not taking a risk at all. In the medical bay, Dr. Reynolds had similar concerns. He showed Jack the results of his tests on crew members who had been working with the void energy. There are subtle changes in their cellular activity, he explained. Nothing harmful so far. In fact, their cells show increased energy and regenerative capabilities. But it's change, and change we don't fully understand. Jack studied the medical scans. Monitor it closely. At the first sign of actual harm, we'll reassess. Captain, the doctor said hesitantly, there's something else. The ship itself, it's changing in ways that go beyond our modifications. Explain. The nanobots are learning. They're not just following their programming anymore. They're adapting, finding more efficient ways to integrate the new systems. The ship is becoming, well, I don't have a better word for it than alive. Jack was silent for a long moment. Is it a threat? No, Reynolds said quickly. It seems more like symbiosis. The ship is responding to our needs, almost before we articulate them. Jack nodded slowly. Then we'll continue. But keep watching, Doctor. Keep watching very carefully. By the 10th day, the transformation was nearly complete. The UES Resilient didn't just look different, it felt different. The walls hummed with energy. Lights responded to crew members' presence without commands. The ship moved through space with a grace it had never possessed before. On the bridge, Jack called a meeting of his senior officers to discuss their next steps. The Void Energy Propulsion System is fully operational, Lisa reported. Based on our calculations, we could reach Earth in a fraction of the time it would have taken with our original engines. The quantum communication system is online as well, Alex added. We've sent test signals. Our defensive capabilities have exceeded all expectations, Marcus said, his earlier caution now tempered with amazement. The energy shields derived from the void radiation can withstand impacts and energy weapons far beyond anything we previously could handle. And the ship itself is becoming more responsive, Emma noted. The integration of our nanobots throughout all systems has created a kind of distributed intelligence. Not exactly an AI, but something new. Jack took in all the information, then stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, the strange radiation patterns danced around the ship like living light. We came out here to establish first contact with the Valen, he said quietly. Instead, we've achieved something far more significant. The next evolution of human space travel. He turned back to his officers. I believe it's time we give this ship a new name to match its new nature. From this moment on, we are no longer the UES Resilient. What shall we call her, Captain? Asked Diane. Jack smiled. Phoenix. The UES Phoenix, because we have risen from our own destruction. What's our course, sir? The navigation officer asked. Jack considered for a moment. The logical choice was to return to Earth immediately with their revolutionary technology and warning about the Valen threat. But something else tugged at him, a sense that their journey wasn't complete yet. Set a course that will intercept the Valen patrol routes, he finally decided. Before we go home, I want the people who tried to kill us to see exactly what they created instead. A tense silence fell over the bridge. Then, one by one, the officers nodded in agreement. Engage the void drive, Jack ordered. Let's show the galaxy what happens when you try to eliminate humanity. The ship, now the UES Phoenix, hummed with power. The new engines glowed with unearthly light, drawing in the surrounding radiation. Then, in a flash of brilliance that would have been impossible just days before, the Phoenix leaped forward into the darkness, faster than any human vessel had ever traveled. They weren't running home to safety. They were flying toward their would-be killers, not for revenge, but for justice and recognition. The message was clear. Humanity would not be confined, contained, or eliminated. They would simply adapt, evolve. Multiple ships detected at the edge of our sensor range, announced Emma from her science station. Configuration matches Valen warships. It had been 2 days since the Phoenix had set course for the Valen patrol routes. The ship had performed beyond all expectations, its new void energy drive carrying them smoothly through space at speeds that would have been impossible before. Captain Jack Morgan stood from his command chair and moved to the main view screen. How many? 5 vessels, Captain. One appears to be a command ship, significantly larger than the others. Jack turned to Alex at the communication station. Are they transmitting anything? Alex adjusted controls on his panel. Yes, sir. Internal communications only, but our quantum receivers are picking them up. He paused, listening through his earpiece. They're talking about us, Captain. About the human problem. They're coming to verify our destruction. A tense silence fell over the bridge. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the confrontation with those who had tried to eliminate them. But now that it was here, Jack felt a flutter of doubt. Were they ready? Lisa's voice came over the comm system from engineering. Captain, the Phoenix is responding to the Valen presence. Power levels are rising automatically in defensive systems. The ship is protecting itself, Diane murmured. Jack nodded. Let's not rush in. Emma, can we mask our energy signature? Make ourselves look like debris or a natural phenomenon? Emma worked quickly at her console. The void energy naturally distorts sensor readings. With some adjustments, yes, I believe we can appear as nothing more than space debris. Do it, Jack ordered. Let's see what they have to say about us when they think we can't hear them. The Phoenix hung silently in space, its systems powered down to minimal levels, its energy signature disguised. The 5 Valen warships moved closer, their sleek, angular forms cutting through the darkness like predatory fish. On the bridge, the crew waited in near darkness, only essential systems running. Alex listened intently to the Valen communications, relaying them in whispers to the captain. The lead ship is Commander Fax's vessel. He's ordering the others to spread out in a search pattern. They're looking for confirmation of our destruction. Jack's expression hardened. This Commander Fax was clearly one of those responsible for the sabotage plot. They're discussing debris patterns, Alex continued. They expected to find more substantial remains of our ship. Little do they know, Tom whispered from his station. The largest Valen ship passed within 1,000 kilometers of the Phoenix, close enough that they could see it clearly on their view screen. It was an impressive vessel, its hull covered in what appeared to be weapon ports and sensor arrays. Incoming transmission from the Valen command ship to their fleet, Alex reported. Decoding now. He put it on the bridge speakers, the translation system converting the alien language to English. This sector is clear, came a cold, precise voice. The human vessel must have drifted further than anticipated. Continue the search pattern. We must... A second voice responded. Commander Fax, sensors are detecting unusual energy patterns in this sector. It could be residue from their reactor breach. Investigate it, ordered the first voice, but maintain caution. If any portion of their ship remains intact, destroy it. The humans cannot be allowed to establish a presence in this part of space. Their technological development is already proceeding faster than anticipated. Jack turned to Marcus at the security station. Record everything. We need evidence of their intentions. Marcus nodded grimly, his fingers moving over his console. Another transmission, Alex announced. This one is different. It's coming from one of the smaller ships. The new voice sounded younger, with a note of confusion. Commander, I've reviewed the diplomatic directives from the Council. There's no mention of eliminating the human vessel. Our orders were to observe and report only. A tense pause followed. Captain Nirok, Commander Fax replied with obvious irritation. Your ship was included in this mission because of your technical expertise, not to question orders. The full directive from the High Council is classified. You will follow my commands without further discussion. That's interesting, Jack murmured. Not everyone in their fleet knows the truth about this mission. Sir, Emma called urgently from her station. One of their scout ships is approaching our position. They're using active scans. If they get much closer, our camouflage won't hold. Jack made his decision instantly. Alex, establish a quantum link to Captain Nirok's ship only. Lisa, bring power systems to full readiness, but don't engage yet. Captain, Marcus protested, we should maintain our cover until... They're going to find us anyway. Jack cut him off. I want to control how that happens. Alex worked frantically at his station. Quantum link established to the smaller Valen vessel. Channel open. Jack took a deep breath. Captain Nirok of the Valen fleet. This is Captain Jack Morgan of the Earth vessel Phoenix. We know the truth about your mission here. We have recorded Commander Fax's orders regarding our elimination. There was no immediate response, just a long silence. Then, human vessel. How are you still functioning? Our sensors showed catastrophic system failures throughout your ship. We adapted, Jack replied simply. We survived your sabotage, Captain Nirok. And in doing so, we discovered things about ourselves, and about the Valen leadership, that we never would have known otherwise. Another voice broke in, the cold, precise tones of Commander Fax. All vessels, battle formations. The human ship has somehow survived. Destroy it immediately. Jack could hear alarms blaring in the background of Nirok's transmission. Human captain, you must flee. You cannot withstand our weapons. We're not running. Jack said firmly. "But we're not here for revenge either. We want the truth to be known. Your commander acted without full council approval, didn't he? Not all Valen want war with humanity." Before Nera could respond, Emma shouted from her station. "Energy buildup on the Valen command ship. They're charging weapons." "Lisa," Jack called over the comm. "Time to show them what Phoenix can do." The ship hummed to life around them, void energy flowing through its systems. The lighting returned to normal, and displays showed power levels rising far beyond their original specifications. "Defensive shields at maximum," Marcus reported. "New weapon systems online." The Valen command ship fired, a beam of intense energy slashing across space toward the Phoenix. It struck the shields and dissipated harmlessly, absorbed by the void energy field surrounding the ship. A collective gasp went up from the bridge crew. Their shields had worked even better than the simulations predicted. "Our turn," Jack said quietly. "Target their weapon systems only. Minimal power. We're making a point, not starting a war." Marcus entered the commands, and the Phoenix responded. A pulse of concentrated void energy shot from the ship, striking the Valen command vessel with surgical precision. Their main weapon port went dark immediately. "Their weapons are offline," Marcus reported with satisfaction. "No other damage to their ship." "Open a channel to all Valen vessels," Jack ordered. When Alex nodded that the channel was open, Jack spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Captain Jack Morgan of the UES Phoenix. We were invited to your space for diplomatic talks. Instead, we were sabotaged and left to die. But what your leadership didn't understand is that humanity doesn't break when faced with destruction. We transform." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We have disabled your weapons as a demonstration, not as an act of war. We are transmitting evidence of Commander Thax's true orders regarding our elimination. Review it for yourselves. Then decide what kind of relationship the Valen truly want with humanity." As he finished speaking, the Phoenix's sensors detected new energy readings from the Valen fleet. Two of the smaller ships, including Captain Nerox, were powering down their weapons. The other two remained in attack formation around the command. The bridge of the Phoenix was silent as the crew watched the Valen fleet split into two groups. Captain Nerox's ship and one other had moved away from Commander Thax's vessels, clearly distancing themselves from his actions. "Sir," Alex reported from communications, "we're receiving a transmission from Captain Nerox." Jack nodded. On screen, the main view screen flickered to life, showing the alien captain. The Valen were humanoid, but with striking differences. Iridescent blue skin, large eyes with horizontal pupils, and bony ridges where hair would be on a human. "Captain Morgan," Nerox said, his voice translated through the ship's systems. "My crew and I have reviewed your evidence. Commander Thax acted without full council approval. This sabotage was not authorized." Jack studied the alien carefully. "And yet it happened. Your people tried to kill mine." Nerox lowered his gaze in what seemed like a gesture of shame. "Yes, and for that, there is no adequate apology. But you should know that Thax represents only one faction among our leadership, those who fear your kind's rapid advancement." "Captain," Marcus called out suddenly. "The command ship is powering up secondary weapons." Before Jack could respond, a barrage of energy blasts shot from Thax's vessel toward the Phoenix. The ship's shields flared bright with absorbed energy, but held firm. The other two Valen ships in Thax's group also opened fire. "No damage," Lisa reported from engineering. "Our shields are actually growing stronger. They're adapting to the attack patterns and frequencies." Jack's expression hardened. "Return fire. Target their propulsion systems this time." The Phoenix responded instantly, void energy weapons striking all three attacking ships with precision. Their engines flared and went dark, leaving them drifting in space. "They're disabled but intact," Marcus confirmed. life support and basic systems still functioning. Jack turned back to the still open communication with Nerok. We could have destroyed them. Remember that. Nerok nodded slowly. Your restraint is unexpected. And your technology, it far exceeds our understanding of human capabilities. That's the point you missed, Jack replied. Humans don't advance on a predictable timeline. When pushed, we leap forward. You tried to eliminate us because you feared our potential. But in doing so, you only accelerated what might have taken us decades to achieve on our own. A new transmission cut in. Commander Thax, his face contorted with rage. This changes nothing. The Council will send more ships. Your single